Hey everyone, and welcome to Awesome Solo of the Day and How to Play It Tuesday edition, wherein we have a look at some famous guitar solos that tend to be on the shorter and maybe easier side of things to play. Today we're going to have a look at the fantastic and absolutely ripping solo to Wildflower by Billy Duffy and the Cult. But first, it's time for your little rock and roll history lesson, as is the norm in these videos, so please bear with me, or, skip ahead. Either or. I'm easy. Well then, the Cult. Who didn't love the Cult back in the 80s? I certainly know that I did. They had this sound and appeal that caught the ear of nearly everyone. The new wavers, the glamours, the goths, the stoners, the rockers, the indie rockers, the metalheads, so on and so forth. I suppose that a part of this mass appeal was the fact that they were a band who up and totally changed their sound and direction midstream, and still managed to hang on to a large part of their fan base, and in the process pull in a whole new slew of fans when they changed their style to a more straight-ahead hard rock sound. What one heard on 1987's Electric was a major and rather jarring to some shift in the band's style and musical direction. You see, the band's previous and breakthrough album, 1985's Love, was this post-punk, goth-tinged alt-rock, somewhat new wave affair, and it had put the Cult on the musical map, albeit mostly in Europe. Riding high on the success of Love, the band entered the studio to record that album's follow-up, to be entitled Peace. An album that was very much in the same musical vein as Love, because why change what ain't broken, right? Well, unfortunately, something appeared to be broken within the band because the band hated what they had recorded and put in the can for the Peace album and were reluctant to release it to the public. Maybe a new producer could fix it, they thought, because the tracks were strong themselves. It's just that the tone and production of the whole album felt off. They would turn to a mega producer, Rick Rubin, to try and fix what they felt ailed the album. And it was Rick who put forward the idea for the band to completely reinvent themselves. Stop playing that pussy English music was exactly the way he put it to the band. It's time for this band to start rocking. And the band agreed, and set forth with Rubin at the helm, reworking nearly every track from the Peace sessions into more straight-ahead hard rock fare. A risk, for damn sure. However, to this point, Rick Rubin had steered very few artists wrong, as he had a keen sense for what drove artistic success in the American and worldwide music scene. And at this point in time, in the mid-80s, rock and hard rock were enjoying massive mainstream success, and Rubin felt that the Cult, with his direction, could certainly tap into some of that success, and hopefully in a big way. Rubin, of course, was correct, as usual. The album that would go on to become Electric would go on to far outsell its predecessor, and in the process put the band on the map in the most important market in the world for any musical artist, America. Electric would result in numerous international rock hits for the band, including Little Devil, Love Removal Machine, and of course the track that we'll be looking at today, Wildflower. Electric was a near-perfect mid-80s hard rock offering from the Cult and Rick Rubin, with only one minor misstep, I have to say. Arguably the worst cover of Steppenwolf's Born to Be Wild ever recorded. But we'll let that one slide, buoyed on the strength of nearly every other track on the album. Regardless, let's close out this little rock and roll history lesson and learn how to play this awesome solo to Wildflower by Billy Duffy. Let's close in a little bit on the fretboard. All right, let's learn the solo to Wildflower by Billy Duffy and the Cult. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial, and we're going to be working in the key of F sharp minor. The main body of the song is in B with this riff. We're just going to take that, move it up here to F sharp minor, and that's what we're going to solo over. After we're soloing over F sharp minor for a number of bars, he is going to jump back to B. Same riff, and we're going to follow right along, and we're going to move our whole scale from the F sharp minor pentatonic, and we're going to jump into the B minor pentatonic. But I'll point that out when we get to it. So the solo starts with that little lick right there. We're bouncing off the 2 of the G string to the 4 of the D string, double hits on the G, kind of like that, and then we're just going to do a straight shot 2 to 4. So, and then we're going to repeat that whole little pattern twice. G, G, D, G, G, D, G, D, G, G, D, G, G, D, G, D. And that's kind of the pattern of that lick. But you're going to want to play with a lot more inflection, you know, some pinch harmonics, really digging into that note there at the 2nd fret of the G. You know, little downward bends, you know, every time you hit that note. And so after you repeat that pattern twice, then you're just going to do a straight shot, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. Kind of like that. And then you're going to drop onto a double stop on the 4th fret of the G and the B, give it a bend release. And then pick it again when you release it. Then drop off to the 2nd fret of the G again. And then you're going to jump right up here to this kind of odd note. It's not an off note, it's in the scale. But it's quite a jarring little note that he grabs here, the 2nd fret of the A string. And you're going to give that a good little half-step bend once you grab it. When you get it down about a half step, you're going to kind of choke the note off. Kind of like that. And then we're into this. So we're going to come down here, grab a double stop with our index on the 2nd fret of the B and the E. You're going to downstroke that twice. And you're going to go back to that odd note again at the 2nd fret of the A. So it's quite a little jump up there to grab that note. And again, you're going to give it a little downwards tug. Back to the double stop 2 more times. And then you're going to grab the 4 of the G, give it a little bend. Down to the double stop again, 3 more downstrokes. 1 more bend at 4, and then back to the double stop again. So that whole little pattern starts with 3. Okay, 1 more time. And then we're into this. We're going to grab the this kind of little Dorian note here. The 4th fret of the B, little half step bend release. Back to the 2 of the B, roll up to the 2 of the G. And then 4 off to 2 of the D, and then back to 4. And then 2 to 4, 2 of the G, back to 2, back to 4 of the G for a half step bend release. Give a little pinch harmonic to that note as well. So let's recap. That's about the first half of the solo. Let's slowly go through what we've learned so far. And this is when everything shifts into B, and we're going to shift up here into the B pentatonic, right in that position at the 7th fret, into this lick. Just, you know, classic blues lick, you know, that kind of thing there. So we're starting with a slide into 7 of the B string with our index. Now we're going to drop on to the 10 of the B, double hit, pull it off to 7, and then grab the 9 of the G. And you're going to repeat that 4 times. Now the 4th time coming off that 9 of the G, you're going to go back to 7 of the B, back onto 10 for a full step bend. All right. back off to 7, repeat the lick again 2 more times. Now we're going to, after we're coming off that 9 of the G here, we're going to go off to 7. And you're going to go back onto 9, back off to 7. You can grab a little double stop there, that kind of works. And then you're going to go 9D, off to 7, and then back on to 9. So that whole lick. And then we're into the final lick of the solo. Similar to what we were doing at the very beginning, but now we're grabbing double stops. 2nd fret of the G and the B. Right, we're not just hitting a single note. At the beginning we were just hitting the single note. Right, grabbing pinch harmonics and whatnot. Now we're doing a double stop on the 2. And now we're going to take that whole thing, slide it up an octave. And again, you're giving little downwards tugs to these double stops. Back. And then finishes, after you go back and forth one final time, to the double stop. Now you're going to drop onto the 4 double stop, give it a half step, slow bend, and then the band comes back in with the main riff. Alright, and that is how you play the solo to Wildflower. Let's run through the whole thing nice and slow, and then we'll be done. And then back into the riff. Well, that's how you play that one, my friends. I certainly hope you found that helpful. And thank you for watching, as always. And I hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may be. Keep practicing hard. And you guys take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Cheers.